now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present.
What the hell just... Something happened. I must have got a thing. Welcome to Dysfunction Junction.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
I forgot to put my phone on private. Sorry, the trials and tribulations of an at-home producer.
Yeah.
Let me hear your Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll.
It's a good thing those are in that room this time, not in this room.
Oh yeah.
We have a box of midgies.
I didn't ship for a week that time.
Oh, it's like
You're eating crayons.
Eating
Taste
candle
flavored
wax.
in chocolate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dysfunction Junction. These are my co-hosts. This week we are Cremo Wheat and Kanye Twitty, if you can't see it.
Hello, Amber. How are you?
Joined us.
Wow. Hi, Amber.
Hi.
Nice.
How are you? Welcome.
All right,
welcome
so
to the sideshow.
that's right. Welcome to the sideshow. Let's turn Lynch up a little bit. He's a little quiet.
No, I like him better that way.
I know. Well, I'll turn him down then. That's excellent. Much better.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's Amber. Amber's first time checking us out. Amber, I know from the NASCAR groups. Very wonderful person.
Oh, they're making
There
a
it is!
turn.
The Symphony
They're
of
early.
Destruction. I was hoping you'd have that.
I will. I want to load it into one of the buttons on the machine.
You got 2 weeks to do so, because remember, we're not here next week.
Machine.
Oh, that's
No.
right.
You're in sunny Florida.
I am.
Well, you better give us an update though.
I will.
A live
Of course.
update.
You guys will get a little video, something or
'Cause
other.
I'm very jealous of Florida.
Why?
Weather.
'Cause
It's
they have-
weather.
Oh, I was gonna say because they have freedom, and unlike this blue bullshit state we live in, fuck everybody. Ron DeSantis for president.
Well,
Nope.
know it's gonna-
I have spoken.
easy.
You know that- it's gonna go that way.
Remember, that fucker's in charge of the state where I can say Florida man and then say any fucking thing I want after it, and everybody on the planet's gonna go, you know that shit happened.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
So,
I'm
you know,
hands are
you
up
could-
on that one.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
come up with the most.
the leader of the crazy table. You're still at the crazy table.
Yeah,
That's true.
Crazy train.
Before we get into tonight's topic, I do have a quick hit. I wanted to tell you guys about it. It's going to come in 2 parts. The first part is something I heard about today, which unfortunately, Lynch, you're a part of this. I heard about the look. We came up in a time, us three were men of a particularly close age, where in the 80s everything had a label, and then in the 90s nobody wanted to have a label anymore, and it was a good 20-year run. And then sometime about 10 years ago, everybody started getting labels again.
Well, when everybody started to have to, everybody needed their label
Mm-hmm.
when they started switching where they came from and where they were going sexually.
Well, this one has nothing to do with that, but I heard a term today, and we used to use this term to describe a stupid person. Lynch is not stupid. Let's start there. These people are called dinks. D-I-N-K.
He was a
Dual
great little midget
income,
wrestler.
no kids.
Oh, I've heard that.
Okay.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So now they have a separate subsection of dinks
I'm a dink.
called dinkwad, which is dual income, no kid, with a dog. Now,
I'm that too.
I don't know where on this earth people have become so brazenly stupid.
So with a dog, so they're dinkwads.
Yes, they're dinkwads. And I can't for the life of me, just because you can make an acronym out of something, doesn't mean you should make an acronym out of something.
You, whoever you are that came up with the dinkwad things, you are a fucking idiot.
Yes. So I would like to believe that as we progress and the younger set is degressing into the alphabet club and everything's got an acronym or a label or we're two-spirit fucking unicorn butt bombs or whatever the fuck.
I'm a pony. I'm a pony.
Can we just stop? Seriously. This has gone far too far. When you take something like this and you call yourself a dink, well, first of all, you are a dink for calling yourself a dink. But second of all, now you want to call yourself a dinkwad. Dude, have you no shame? Seriously?
I have an objection.
Here's
Overruled.
Objection. No. That very accurately describes me, but I would have to add an S at the end of that acronym because I have multiple dogs.
Oh, so you're a they them. You're a dinkwads.
Yes,
You're plural.
See,
I'm
I have a
plural.
problem with this.
I knew you would.
Where
gonna have a problem
would you like
with
me to
this.
start?
I'm gonna have a problem with this because, once again, this is white people
Yes, it
misappropriating. This is white people misappropriating a jargon term and taking it and using it for some bullshit tree hugger excuse reason. Okay, the word dink actually is a financial industry term. It's usually used in housing markets.
I am.
Okay, it's used in housing and real estate. What do we got? And somebody says it's there. Oh, there. I got a dink that's looking for a house in the college area.
Right.
And that means dual income, no kids. In other words, it was used because here it is, buddy. They've got money. They've got it to spend. They don't have a lot. There it is. Okay. Then the dink thing actually came over because it was cool when gays got married because they were all dinks.
For
Because
the
they
most
couldn't
part,
have kids yet.
Hey,
But
somebody
now even the gays aren't dinks anymore. All right.
Somebody was just,
not even the gays
scrolled-
have dinks.
somebody just scrolled across on the chat that they could barely hear you.
I can
hear
barely
it.
hear me,
Yeah, which is odd.
which is that's very odd. I mean,
Yeah.
how much louder do you want it, kid?
Well,
Yeah, I know.
keep going. Keep going until they're happy.
Throwing it out there.
I know where Herm's going with this point, but when we were teenagers, I would say we used the term dink because we didn't want to say dick in public.
Kicking in the
And
bank.
that's what you said to a stupid person. You called them a dink. And,
You did.
exactly. Once again, because you didn't want to say dick in public, and dickwad, which now I guess if you didn't want to get in trouble, dinkwad, now they're using it as
Right.
this wonderful, fantastic term to describe us. Why don't you just call yourself what you are? A couple. How easy is that?
Why do we need
Yeah.
such a specific name? This falls under the same. Look, man, we had rock, we had hard rock. Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
And we had heavy
classic
metal.
Rock. We had classic rock. We had heavy metal. Now there's 8,000 genres of Swedish house metal. 8,000
Metalcore.
subgenres of German this, that, and the other. Look, man,
Scandinavian
Look, man, it was
black metal.
Listen, dumbass, it's all rock and roll music. It's just why do we have to sub-thread it that much?
It's
Right.
wrapped in a different wrapper.
I don't
That's really all it is.
as the DJ. I don't understand. Like that's literally what my stuff is. My
right.
stuff is R&B, hip hop, or done.
All right. I want to go to the audience. If anybody has anything to say about the dinks or the dinkwads,
Or the
please let
dinks.
us know what you think. Identify yourself. Tell us you're watching. And here comes John. You got to know it. The thing about dinks is, yes, they may have a good life filled with money, trips, etc. Is it really a life when they're older? The family is gone. What do you have? Have you lived a life? I agree with that. Because and no offense to Lynch, again, he lives vicariously through a lot of us, is that Herm and I are going to tell you, no offense to Lynch, but all these dinks out there who are so proud to be dinks, one of the coolest and most rewarding things that we have all ever done is have children and have a family. Be it broken or not. We have family, we have our children, and when you see that little head sliding out and you're like, oh, this is the greatest moment of my life, to 10 years later when you just want to smack the piss out of them every 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. You still love them with all your heart,
Oh,
and it fills you up.
it fills me up.
John says not to quote the Bible, but we seriously were made to reproduce. It's how we keep the human race going.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
to
not
perpetuate
that's not
the race.
exclusive to us. That's
No.
everything on the planet is
Anything
technically
with a-
supposed to try,
thing-
or is for the benefit of the species.
Anything
But,
anything with a dink and a dunk. Or someplace to dunk your dink. No offense to those who don't, but don't tell me what to do. Which my kid, if you don't have any. Okay, I agree
All
with
right,
that. I
but
think
on the same token, just because you have kids doesn't mean you're smarter or better than anybody either.
no,
So,
that's exactly
let's-
correct. But
Let's take that shoe on that
So-
foot too.
let's
Any
go to
two-
my
Any two people can have sex and have a kid. It's different to be a parent.
correct.
than a-
Now let's
than a
go.
dog.
I mean,
Because of what John just said, I got to take you to quick hit number 2. I went to my favorite place in the history of places, the bookstore, on Sunday. Walking around, looking, doing what I do.
Where's their bookstore?
Where's their bookstore in Connecticut?
Waterford, Books A Million.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
I
It's
have a
still there.
Barnes and Noble right down the
Still
street.
kicking. I know, I'm jealous as hell.
Coffee
Anyway.
shop is
Noble.
fucking beautiful.
Anyway, so I'm walking through, and I've got this fantastic sweatshirt on. As you can all see, it says, "Wokeness breeds weakness," and I truly
Another
believe
term
that.
stolen by the white people. Sorry.
Yep.
It was a black term. Just sorry.
It certainly was. And I see this guy, and he's peering over the top of one of the dividers.
Ooh,
Just
Alert.
shit staring me.
a lurker.
He is mean mugging me like nobody's business. So I go about my business.
Yeah.
I go to,
Yeah.
I go to the cultural studies section. I go to the political science section. I go to the sports section. I look at all the books that I know I can't buy right now because I'm 7 behind. And as I'm walking back, he is still mean mugging me. And I just kind of look at him. I tilted my head as if to say, hey, can I help you? He goes, "Nice sweatshirt, asshole."
Ooh.
I'm like, "Thanks for your opinion. Appreciate it."
Mr. Asshole to you.
So as I
What else
come
can I
around, I see this gentleman, red hair, red goatee, really nice blue fleece with a button-up shirt underneath, looking, very professional until I walk around the corner and see he's got a green and black pleated skirt, black nylons, and a really nice set of black high heels.
How were his tits?
I didn't look. I
Oh,
just
that usually
just kept
follows
going.
Short skirt, I'm
Didn't make it that far.
just curious.
Nope. I didn't want to know. I understood now why he's mean mugging me. But if I'd have seen this person first, do you think I would have been an asshole and said, "Nice skirt, dude"? No, because I'm not a jerk. I'm an asshole, but I'm not a scumbag. I've said it before. I say it again. Live your life. I know you would, Herm. But live and let live. If I'd seen it first, I might have just did the Beavis thing. Wait a second. Whoa, and kept walking.
What was that?
Did he
Is
just
it?
say,
Why is it that people just think that, and much like John said about the dink population, Herm said about the dink population, on what planet is it okay just to chastise me in public for what I choose to wear? Fuck off.
Go on, ladies, go. Go outside.
I have nothing but disdain for people, and I cannot wait for Wednesday so I can get away from people for a week. But then again, I am going to Florida. I might see some naked guy wrestling an alligator over a Snickers bar. You never know.
Yeah. Florida man.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the alligator probably had the Snickers bar first, and
I
then
told the
guy
story
tried to
years-
steal it.
That
I told
Snickers
the
bar had
story.
it coming.
Right? I told a story years ago. I think Lynch was guest hosting on my old podcast, Chris and the Guy Who Fucks Everybody's Wife, where they told of a guy who raped an alligator. Remember, what's fucked up? That was our bi-monthly thing was, what's fucked up? We'd find the shittiest, craziest, but true news stories and read them out loud. And this guy raped an alligator.
All you got to do
I
is
read
look
the
at the
story
Florida
about
Times.
The guy that robbed a Wendy's with an alligator.
I like the one where the guy was robbing a Wendy's, fell through the skylight, broke both his arms and one of his legs, and sued Wendy's for OSHA violations. Not OSHA. What is it? They sued because he slipped and fell in a Wendy's, and dude got the settlement.
Wow.
It goes to show you our American justice system is fucked.
Discuss.
All right,
Amber
Amber's
gave us some good
discussing the way I see it. If you don't like what I wear, either turn your head or buy it for me. I'm quite happy with what I wear or what I wouldn't wear. Agreed 1,000%. And that's half the problem. Bashing my comment on what you said about the sweat. Oh, basing. Okay. No, I got you. We may look stupid. And believe me, we do look stupid. But reminds me of that old joke. It really reminds me of that old joke. There's a kid just dumber than a box of shit. And the teacher won't let him have ice cream until he can identify his ass and his elbow. So the teacher lines him up, says, "Johnny."
I like it already.
He says, "Can you identify your ass and your elbow?"
Just like the ass part.
And Johnny says, "Yeah, this is my ass and this is my elbow." This goes on for weeks. Then one day, she gets him, "Johnny, I can't do this anymore. Can you identify your ass and your elbow?" He goes, "Yeah, this is my ass and this is my elbow." And the teacher went, "That's fantastic. How'd you do it?" He goes, "Gotta have kidneys."
Boom, boom.
Thank you. I'll be here at least for 2 more days.
Don't forget to try the veal. Woo.
That's right. And if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, come to Hartfield Jackson Airport about 11:30 on Wednesday and have a beer with me.
There you go.
Lynch not included because he is sober now. Although he does have enough Diet Mountain Dew in his garage to lower his sperm
Oh,
count
you like
forever.
that? You like
Oh
that?
my God, dude. So much
So
hydrogenated, brominated fucking vegetable oil drinks down there.
quick story for me before we go
Enjoy
on.
your yoga mats.
Yeah. I usually do the grocery shopping, and I go by myself because I'm in and out I'm under an hour every time.
It's the garage
Megan
full
yesterday-
of Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah. No, Megan says, "You want to go grocery shopping with me?" So I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good at home." She's like, "Well, I really wanted you to go. I went 3 weeks in a row by myself." I was like, "Oh, welcome to my world." So I go with her. I can finally put into words why I can't go to the grocery store with her.
Can't wait
It's
to hear
like-
this.
It's like a choose your own adventure fucking book, and she's jumping all over the place. Chill your jets.
Nope. Calm your tits, lady. Calm your tits.
And she's finishing a sentence that she started in her head. It says the last part of it. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you having a
Jen
stroke?
does that, but I only get the first part. I get like,
I get the last
I was
part.
thinking we were gonna,
Ooh, birdie.
and I'm like, can I get a fucking vowel, Vanna? She's like, what? I'm like, oh, I finished that in my head. Bitch, you were talking to me.
Right? Oh, I'll take what I'd like to hear come out of your mouth for 500, Alex.
See, now Amber says she's like that at Walmart, and I am not. There is one path. I take one path every
too.
time. I come in, well, in our Walmart, it's kind of the same, but it's roughly the same in all the Walmarts. It's a super. So I go in, I go through the produce aisle, I hit the deli, I hit the bakery, I go down and hit the meats, hit the milk, and then come back and forth. Whether it's on my list or not, I hit the aisle.
There you go.
All of it.
Have
All
a
of it.
plan. Have a plan. That's why I don't like going grocery shopping with anybody else, including my own daughter, because
And she's
You
looking
just-
at the unit price and stuff. I'm like, come, I want to go home.
in the big black numbers where it says $5.29, that's how much it costs. Don't worry about the fucking unit price.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's stuff you can and I do worry about it, but
Oh, certain things, yes, you have to look. But I'm like, it's fucking sesame oil. Come on, let's go.
Right?
Let's go home.
Listen, Florence, get your Wesson oil and get the fuck out.
for real, just get the
Lynch, are
small
you gonna
one.
die?
I hope not.
I hope not.
Please don't die. If you do, can you wait till we get a few more viewers? I'd like to get some ratings out of this shit.
Dude, if he's gonna do it on the fucking show because I'm sure
I'll let
that
you know when.
We'll have, and then we can have an online
Right?
funeral
Live
wing.
stream 911 call
I'll
from
spend
Burns
the extra money
to...
for the 1 month and just for that one show, and so we can have 2 or 3 cameras lined up.
There you go.
I'll have one like right over your, right, literally right up it.
We'll get Trav to shoot it.
For real, I'll get the drone. I'll put the drone up. We'll do it. It'll be
Ooh.
great. We'll get some aerial footage.
All right. So, look, I can sympathize with you as far as, with me, you know what you want. You know where to get it, get out. Don't fuck around.
Agreed.
And the one thing that drives me nuts, I love running into people I know and seeing them and talking to them and whatnot. Like, hey, Chris, how you been? Doing good. Just grabbing some shit, getting ready to go home. Oh, hey, let me tell you about the 8,000 things that has happened to me since I last saw. No, motherfucker. I just got through telling you my intention is to grab some shit, get my ass home. This ice cream will melt if you tell me about the 4,000 things you did in the last 3 months since I last saw you in Stop
Yeah.
and Shop or in Walmart or at Aldi or wherever the fuck.
That's,
I just
Stop
feel
it.
that
that's
I
why
start
my
with what.
shopping traffic pattern has frozen foods last.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Last.
I
So
I
nice.
start to do the 1 foot push off, walk away. It's like, oh, I'll catch you on Facebook or shoot me a text. I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but when they catch me, Herm, it's usually right before the checkout. You see them coming your way, and you do the obligatory wave. Hi, how you been? What's
That's when you
up?
turn
Nice,
your head. Whoop.
nice tits, whatever.
That's the beautiful
Oh, I
thing
didn't see
about
you.
living here. I don't
Nobody
know a
knows you.
fucking soul. I go
Until
in,
you-
I shop, I go home. Nothing.
You
So
wait
that
till
one
you wait till I go to the Pueblo Community Forum and put your picture up and say, if you see this man out and about, make sure you stop him, say hello, give him a hug. You know, he's been through a lot and he needs your hug.
I don't even think we have a community forum here. I don't even
I'm about
think
to
people
find
care
out. You know
about
what?
that.
I will stop taking comments and I'm going to go find that motherfucker.
He loves it when you tickle him under his chin.
That's right. He loves it when you call him Big Papa. Pueblo, Colorado. Talk, boys, talk.
Poop hole.
Well, are we
poop
going to
hole.
get into it? Are we done?
Well, you're leading the show. You tell us.
Well, I'm asking you. Are we?
I think we're
good with
done.
all the
Yeah, I'm pretty much done.
preliminaries?
I got, you know, clapped at by a dude in a skirt.
Heard. Clap that.
Pueblo, Colorado Events and Community Forum. I am joining now. Oh, you are in such deep shit, my man. Yes, I'm going to follow the rules. I lie every time. I've been booted out of so many groups because I don't follow the rules.
All right, guys. So for the viewers at home, here's what's going down this week.
Even if you're not at home.
Even if you're not at home, to the viewers out there in streaming land.
Out in the internet land.
Out there.
On the corner making you $20. I know.
That's right. $20.
20.
It's $20.
Ooh.
Oh, and by the way, just so you guys know, Big Herm is a welching asshole. He offered a cash prize if one of us, the first one of us to identify the
I didn't
photo
offer
he
cash
sent.
prize. I offered a sock drawer.
Yeah.
You told everybody what's in the sock drawer last week. Now you cannot get back
Sockdrawer
on this.
Jones.
So I won, and I have yet to see my prize. Pepsi, where's my jet? Come on.
Pepsi, where's my jet?
I gotta watch that tonight.
Oh, it's
it
fucking
keeps com-
beautiful.
It keeps
It's
coming
fun.
up on my Netflix.
It's fucking-
Suggested for you.
It's fucking beautiful, especially after you watch that and you realize that Michael, what's his name, Venonati, just got sentenced to, or whatever, Venonetti or whatever.
Oh,
the lawyer guy there.
Yeah.
What's her name there? Sparkles or whatever. Donald
Yeah.
Trump's piss on him chick, whatever her name is.
Stormy Daniels.
Titty Daniels.
Yes.
Titty Daniels.
Whatever. He was her lawyer. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was just sentenced to 14 years for
Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Thank
That's-
you. It
that's-
was like
that's the name.
Michael Illuminati.
Something Italian sounding.
Mikey
Maserati.
Yeah. Yeah. Mikey Muffler.
So
But
before we get into it, Amber says, I have some thoughts on tonight's topic. They may not make sense to you all, but it does to me. That's why we're here. So when we get to a particular point, I'm going to let everybody know. Keep the comments coming in. Herm is running the show tonight. So when he sees a comment, he'll throw it on the screen. He's going to throw to either me or Lynch. But Herm is walking this ship, and he'll ask the questions. We'll give the answers. And because I lived down there when this was going on, I got a lot of
Yeah.
I don't want to call it PTSD because I don't want to rail on people or make fun of
It was
people who have
close to home.
actual PTSD. Yeah, but it was close to home, and you were just
close to
bludgeoned
home.
with it.
It's the
Bludgeon.
Sandy Hook shooting for all of us up in the north when it happened in
Yeah.
Connecticut. Same thing.
So,
you know what I mean?
it's
Everybody in
interesting
the state knew somebody that was affected.
Right?
It's interesting you say that, Chris, because as I'm watching this, I was like, oh, that's when Burns lived down there.
Yeah. But they found the body. They
your
found the body
insight.
3 days after my birthday.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was
So
out
you
at
have
a
some-
I was out
you
at a
have some-
seafood restaurant.
you have some like you were blanketed with coverage on that because every time they would cut to in the doc, every time they cut to a news piece, it's every county everywhere in
Yeah.
Florida was covering this case.
They did a lot of coverage from WESH out of Orlando, which was the
Yeah.
main news station for that Central Florida area. The one out of Tampa, I think, is Channel 13. All right, Herm, right the ship. Put us back on track.
All right, guys. So here it is. Peacock has just posted over the last 2-3 weeks.
It was last Tuesday it came out.
Right. It came out last Tuesday, and it's Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies. First time that Casey has openly spoke to anybody since being released. They met and rented a private house to do all of the work on the show because she wanted her privacy and her home is her safe space, which I can agree. This is my castle, and I don't want anybody near it or fucking with it.
Right.
So I can understand that. But the show the show was 3 parts. First part was basically what was your setup episode. Let us know what we were doing, why we were there watching the show, what the reason for the show was, how it was set up, and then it kind of touched on the case itself in the beginning and how it went down. I wasn't too excited about episode 1. I don't feel it offered a lot of crazy insight, light bulb, epiphany, thought moments. It was just mostly the setup so we could get into the meat, you know?
All right.
Either you guys have anything specific about that first episode that hits home?
Well, you saw a lot of pieces from all 3 episodes kind of jammed in there. They kind of were foreshadowing the second episode and then the third episode as episode 1 went out. So they're spoon feeding you clues, and you don't know they're clues until I saw that back in episode 1.
Right,
I kind of like
there's foreshadowing.
I kind of like that they did that because it keeps stuff fresh in your memory. As soon as you see it, that was in episode 1. So you go back and you're thinking, what were they talking about there? I liked that aspect of the show. Agreed with Mike. It was just a setup. It was the first act of a movie, basically. So you're setting up you're painting a picture of the characters and their motivations.
Yeah, it reintroduced us to Casey.
And her legal team,
Yep,
and a little bit about her dad.
And set up a little bit about what she's been doing, how she's lived, and whatnot since then. You know what I mean? So we have a little background. It makes you connect a little more with who the character is, so you feel like you know them a little better.
You have
rather
empathy.
than just being told a bunch of facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job setting it up and hinting as to what we were going to be talking a lot more about. I mean, because the first episode is the shortest.
Yep.
The first episode's only an hour. The rest of them are like an hour and 15 to an hour and 20. The other two,
Right.
They're long. Like I'm watching it and I paused and I'm like, how the fuck am I only halfway through this thing? I've been watching for what feels like days.
That happened to me last night.
Like,
I was
it
making dinner and I
light
paused
out,
it.
Now it's the sun's coming up. What the fuck? But,
I paused it to go make dinner, and I come back. I'm like, I was only watching this for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Holy
I was
shit.
like, really? I'm only like 30 minutes into this?
But there's
I-
so much.
I agree
So
with
much
both of
information.
you on that, where for those of us that, watched some of this happen from either close or afar, followed the news stories, you're right. It was like the welcome package. Here are the main players. Here's the facts. But what I think it did more than that was if you had no idea who this woman is and you saw the bumper and you said, oh, this sounds interesting. And then you throw her in the Google machine. You go, oh, shit, that's crazy. It's basically it's a scorecard for someone who may have never heard of this. Here are your main players. Here's the lead in. Here's what happened. And then episode 2 comes and knocks your fucking teeth out.
It's your New York, it's your 42nd Street program. It's
Yeah.
here's who's playing, here's
Yeah.
the part they're playing. Here's why they're important to the story. Now let's get
Let's
into it.
get on with it.
Mhm.
It's like a prequel for somebody who hasn't seen a 9-movie trilogy.
Yeah.
movie
Like
series.
even if you
Here.
were
This
you
is
were,
previously on Blossom.
if you were
you know.
17 years old, all right, 17 years old, blowing through Peacock, or had no clue, because let's be honest, at 17 you probably wouldn't have a whole hell of a lot of what was going on. 2000, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 2008. That's all.
2008 when we started.
a long time ago now.
2011 when she was acquitted. So we're 11, 12 years after acquittal now. So you were 4 or 5 when she was acquitted. So somebody who is 16, 17, 18 coming across that, and it's done well enough that I would let a child of a 16 watch that. There's not a lot. The swearing isn't bad.
No,
It's not crazy bad. They
they always say
get
fuck like 3 times.
They don't get horribly violent, and they're not the shot and none of the photos are extremely just horrific. There's a lot of blur. So
I give kudos. That was very classy.
it was
of them.
very classy that they didn't go the horror route
Yeah.
with the photos. They kept it classy, and it wasn't about. It was about everything else around. The actual picture didn't matter. It was everything else going
Everything
on
around
around
it.
what that picture was.
Yep.
That in the real world, that was the importance. So that's what they focused on. But yeah, I thought they did a really good job setting it up so everybody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And again,
if you guys remember what I sent you during episode 1, the first message that I sent, and after that, I changed my mind.
Yeah, and we'll get into that as we go along.
I know. Well, that was, and when you read that, you watched, and you were like, I'm 10 minutes in on one, and at 10 minutes in on one, you're still kind of at 10 minutes, you haven't even seen her move into the house yet. Everything you've seen, like, you were like 10 minutes, I'm like 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, when you said what you said, and I'm like, yeah, her body language, but in that point of the movie, almost all of the film was the old stuff.
Yep.
Was stuff from interview rooms, and we were you're watching that going, this bitch did it. And then knowing what we know now, and we'll get into that in a minute, and knowing what happens in the result of some of those behaviors are, now all of a sudden you took your glasses off and now you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't need these glasses. Holy shit.
No, like,
Right.
no, like these glasses actually screw up what I'm seeing. And so we'll get right into 2. All right. So we're going to go right into 2. So we start in on episode 2. And one of the first things you get in episode 2 is we have the one-on-one shots with just Casey, and she tells us exactly what the fuck happened that day. Right down to where everybody was, who was sleeping, where room they were in, who was in the house. And we have, basically, she goes and takes a nap. She believes that she locked the door because she had the baby with her. She falls asleep. They're sleeping. She is woken up by her father, wanting to know where the baby is. Everybody looks around. They search high and low. And she comes out, and he's holding her wet. And in the scene, they don't say that, but I'm going to assume, given she was wet, cold, not moving, and blue, as being described by Casey, because again, horrific event. Your brain is going to compartmentalize segments of that, and only allow you to see and remember what is not too much. Your brain really usually tries to do a good job of not making you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
But basically, she come out. Kaylee was being held. Her father said this is her fault. Then he changed his tone and took Kaylee, and we never saw her again. That's Casey's story.
One of the things that popped out to me about the story, and later on, I believe it was in that episode when they have George Anthony on the stand, is that much like you just said, Herm, Casey remembers, like, to the detail, everything about that day. They get George on the stand, and this is only 2 years after the remains are found.
Nothing.
And he remembers what she was wearing. And the judge says, "Okay, do you remember?"
Only what Kaylee was wearing.
Exactly. And not the judge, the attorney says, "Okay, can you remember what Cindy was wearing that day?" He's like, "No, I don't have the first freaking clue." And if you were part of that that area where they're live streaming this every day, the trial every day, and if you lived around here, you got it on Court TV. They're streaming it live every day. They asked him a bunch of questions about that day. The only thing he remembers is what that little girl was wearing. And it came out later in that episode that And Casey remembers this. They had a dog. The dog died. He wraps the dog up in the trash bag, tapes it
he,
around
like,
the top.
Wraps, they would wrap. He would well, it was the brother. Remember?
Yeah, Lee and George,
It was the brother
team up.
later.
Yep.
The brother later in that episode
That tells
talks
how he
about,
did
wait
it.
a minute. When we had pets as a kid, and Dad would wrap the pet in a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Dad
Oh,
would
shit.
put that inside of some sort of a plastic bag. Would put the animal wrapped in a blanket or something, and you usually and one of their toys, one of the keepsakes of the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
wrap it in a bag, and then duct tape the top. In the exact same modus operandi as the body of Kaylee was found.
Correct. And I look, people can say, well, how do you know? 'Cause look, I'm gonna start sentence by saying this: cops in general are paid to remember the stupidest, most minute detail in the face of tragedy. How do I know this? Because my old man was a cop.
Oh yeah.
And they remember stupid things in minute detail in the face of
Yes.
tragedy because they have to report on it.
This falls into my theory.
So if Casey can remember all of these things and all George can remember is what the little girl was wearing, Kaylee,
And
we have an issue.
And George, who, as you and I all know in that situation, as we all are pretty much in our jobs because we've done them for a long time and know what the fuck we are unconscious operators. We actually do our job without actually having to think about how we're going to do our job. We just do it.
It
Yeah.
just happens.
Chris, I know him as Sarge. I know he progressed past that, but when I met him, he was Sarge, your dad.
Yeah.
I know that Sarge was a police officer every day of his fucking life, whether he wanted to be or not. The same way that I can't go anywhere and not be a chef. The same way you can't go anywhere and not be a salesman. This is all, you know what I mean? It's just who we are and what we do. We don't think about it anymore. George is an unconscious operator. George would have known everything and how to do it without even actually thinking, all right, what's my process? He'd have been 4 steps ahead of himself already.
They've tried in murder cases over the years. They have tried to trip up cops. Maybe you're not remembering this right. Do you remember what you had for breakfast that morning?
Exactly, and the eggs were brown. There was a weird brown spot. It must have
Yeah.
come off of the grill or something.
I went to
that morning.
I went to the Cracker Barrel. I had the smothered and covered, 2 cups of coffee. I remember the waitress brought me a Danish, even though I didn't order one. She took it off the bill. I ate it anyway. Yada yada yada. Again, these guys are walking, talking memory machines. There are cops that I still talk to this day that worked in and around my father all those years ago. When you bring up something like this, they'll talk about what happened in our area with Michael Ross, the serial killer. They will remember what he was wearing that day. They'll remember what they were wearing that day. They'll remember where their car was parked, when they got the call, and what they did when they got there. So when somebody says,
Yeah,
and a lot of these
where they stopped for coffee that morning and how they got and what. No, and cops are paid to remember really.
what song was on the
shit.
radio? Were you listening to the radio? Were you elbow deep and rubbing one out? They remember everything. And Lynch, being surveillance for the casino for a number of years, he's another guy. And I'm going to put Lynch on the spot. You're another guy who has that ability to remember stupid, minute detail because that was your job. You were paid to know this stuff.
I remember camera numbers. I remember the layout. There isn't anything you can ask me about that job, even though we're 2.5, 3 years out of me being employed.
Yeah.
There's shit I spot all the time. Like I can tell by people's body language when they're going to steal. Like I texted you guys the last week when I was in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the gypsies trying to return a TV they stole from another Best Buy. And the security guy wasn't having any of it. And they dropped the TV and ran to their van. And I had it on my dash cam. So now it's going to come back. It's going to come back to either a rental or misuse of plate because they're gypsies and they never get driver's licenses or proper IDs.
No.
They just steal cars as they come across them and acquire them.
Those
But it's little things things like that. Like I can look at somebody and say, yeah, he's going to steal.
All right, guys, here it is. Sammy said something. Him remembering is that what she's wearing isn't that shocking. You're right. It's something that was discussed. Sammy, it's not him remembering what she was wearing that is the trigger on this.
It's
that
what he doesn't remember.
It's
it's what he
detail.
doesn't remember and the complete lack of detail. It would be like me trying to tell you that the recipe is like the most exquisite recipe. It's some garlic.
It's eggs and cheese.
There might be Worcestershire in it, and I can't remember if it's anchovies or if it's sardines. And
Right.
I've been doing this chef job for 30 fucking years, but all of a sudden the normal traits that go in and are part of your job that, let's face it, as men and women too, we have a tendency to become what we do. Men especially have a tendency to be judged and figured and
By what they do
judged
for
and
a profession.
appropriated on you are what you do. I am very much so that way. I am what I do, and most men are that way. So the problem isn't the remembering her. It's the complete lack of detail on a day that from the beginning that he said he smelled a dead body.
Yeah. In the
and
car,
yet-
when he goes to pick up the car, he says the trunk smelled like a decomposing
Right,
body. Again, a trigger that they are.
a trigger. Now, also watched the Kaylee Anthony story today. Dr. Lee, unfortunately, smell is olfactory, and that particular sentence is not true because all kinds of rot smell the same.
It's to varying degrees.
It's
Mm-hmm.
rot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's human body rot, if it's trash rot, if it's rot in nature. Rotten smells rotten. It's a chemical breakdown process that happens.
It's the proteins being broken down and turned into
It
sugars.
pretty much happens
and
regardless of how or what. So, the fact that the garbage had been in her car for 3 weeks almost finally.
Yep.
Rotten in the summer.
June into July.
Completely understandable where rot would happen. Now I get it, and they've combated that whole it was a dead body, but you're not able to tell by smell to smell whether it's a dead body or a rotten steak, because dead meat is dead meat. We
So
discussed that on the Derek the Undertaker show.
Ophylactical eminary emancipations.
Right.
Amber had a good. I think Amber had a good point that scrolled across and I missed it.
What
You
happened?
got that? Take a look and see what Amber had to say earlier.
In regard to what?
She, while we were talking, had a message.
Smell the
The
dead
one.
body, Sammy.
I'm only on episode 1,
Legitimately,
but
not
but
to
I don't
interrupt
think.
anybody, but I'm asking Sam, have you ever smelled a dead body? I've smelled a dead body.
Mhm.
So
So
I-
I can tell you it smells the exact same as meat left in the
Okay.
refrigerator for 3
All right,
weeks.
I'm going to go back to your point, Herm. Before I read Amber's comment, you said it is an olfactory sense, is
is.
smell, but that smell sometimes is connected to a memory of some sort. A cop can
That's
tell you the first time. they-
that's the problem with olfactory senses. They don't just register in the sense; they register as a memory.
Right.
It's an
When I
emotion.
smell,
They
when I
evoke an
smell,
emotion.
right. When I smell aquavelva, I immediately picture my grandfather. When I smell tomato sauce, when I can smell tomato sauce, because this thing's been broken 6 times, I can't smell skunk either, thank God. But if I smell tomato sauce overly garlicky, I think of my grandmother. When I smell certain things, it takes you to a spot in time, and especially with cops, you'll see them sniff around and be like, okay, somebody had way too much cologne on, and they'll do a sniff test with something. They're trained for this.
Yeah.
It's supposed to trigger something in their brain to say, okay, this doesn't. That's where it comes from. This doesn't pass the smell test.
That was that whole. What is it? Was it last week we discussed the smell test and how it registers? And I don't remember what the fuck it was, but it registers in your head and you just smell it.
Yep.
So, but again, rotten meat is the same smell as a rotten dead body. A dead
Right.
body is just a pile of meat.
Yep. Before
At
before
the point that we're dealing with it, it's rotten and it's horrible and it's terrible.
right, it's like if a raccoon dies under your house and you don't know it, and eventually that smell starts to creep. Terrible. I'm gonna read Amber's comment. I'm only on episode 1, but I don't think Casey killed Kaylee. I think George killed her and made Casey hide her and duct tape Kaylee and threatened Casey if she said a word and made her lie to everybody. Either way, both are good actors. I can't disagree with that point. I think Casey was about to out George for sexual molestation. I have a point about that in just 1 second when I finish this comment.
Yep.
And this was the only way he thought he could silence her. It's all a big fucked up situation. They both need to rot in hell for that whole ordeal. Okay, so let's walk the clock back about 5 years.
Wait a minute, Amber. Did you your own or did it correct you and censor you?
Yeah, did you get auto censored?
Did you
I want to
get
know.
auto censored? Because
I'm going to test that theory.
I am too.
Please excuse our silence. Yeah, it didn't censor me, I don't think.
Nope. See,
Yep,
there it
there's
is. Nope.
Herm. Yep. And right underneath that is me.
She made
All
us,
right.
so
So
censored.
Oh, excellent. Fuck my
Let's
fat ass.
let's walk the clock. Do you remember that ad in the back of the nudie magazines back in the day? The big chick.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck my fat ass. Anyway.
99 cents.
Okay, Amber just got out of Facebook jail, and she's trying to be nice. All right, so let's walk the clock back about 5-6 years ago, when the Alyssa Milanos and the Nicole Eggerts are coming out, and the Cosby accusers and the Weinstein accusers are coming out, and the big thing was believe all women. And I said, no, we don't believe all women, because some women will lie to hurt a man or someone else, even another woman. So, no, we do not believe all women. Oh, you misogynist pig and this and that and chauvinist fuck and whatever. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
Breathe with me.
I give you the benefit of the doubt, but you
Right.
got to keep the proof, and you got to keep it coming.
Right. You gotta show me the candy before I get in the van. That's the
That's what I'm
point. And
That's a good boy.
I get to reading some of these online reviews on these sites about this, and I don't believe she was molested. I don't believe this, and I don't believe that. And
Women left and right.
I
Fucking
did
what
the same
fuck?
thing. I did the same thing I did with that young lady who told me that kids know they're transgender in the womb, but they're also a clump of cells, and she shit all over her own argument. I said, wait a minute. What happened to believe all women? Silence. Crickets.
All of a sudden, what I was like,
It's a pick and choose situation now.
I was like, you guys are cherry picking Me Too's now?
Mhm.
Is that what we're doing? We're cherry picking the best Me Too's that get our
Yeah.
shit moved forward?
Not to say, and again, it's not to say I don't believe Casey Anthony that she was molested. It's not to say I don't believe Alyssa Milano or Nicole Eggert or anyone who claims it, because that is a hurt that never goes away. And for those people that this happened to, it's horrendous. That is real PTSD, not this shit where a kid stubbed his toe in 3rd grade or his mom took away his Nintendo for a week and all of a sudden, I got PTSD. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
But
I will,
go ahead.
I will point to that. That whole thing about the sexual molestation and the accusations. If you want to start talking theories, I believe it, and there's a couple reasons why. When she was talking about her daughter, to me, it looked like she's trying, every time she talks about her daughter, she's trying to convince herself that what she's saying is absolute truth.
In regard to what?
About her in general. Okay.
Okay.
She's putting on not an act. You'll see where I'm going with this in a minute.
Sure.
When she starts talking about the sexual assault from her father and her brother, that shit is raw emotion. Either she's the best fucking trained Hollywood actress on the planet right now, and she should be nominated for an Oscar, Golden Globe, and SAG.
Minimally an Emmy, because that's television.
No. Lynch, I know you were watching her eyes as she spoke. I know you and I were both watching her eyes.
That
3.
her eyes gave it away.
I was counting on you, Mr. Burns, but I know Lynch doing what he does and me doing the security thing years ago. I know he was watching the eyes.
When she
and
was
how
talking
they
about the
react as
daughter,
she speaks, and she does
always-
not.
Always up and to the left.
Now
That's the
explain
key.
to people what that means, because there might be some people that don't understand when when somebody asks you a question,
Well, no,
you
she
look
was,
to the
it
left.
was on the right.
Mm-mm.
She was up into the right. She did a lot of up into the writing because it's
Yeah, like this.
backwards. All right, because
Right.
here's what the breakdown is.
Please
ladies and
break it
gentlemen.
down for the people
All
who
right,
don't know.
we have a right side of our brain. And I'm doing this backwards on the video. We have a right side of the brain, so they see it that way, and then we have a left side of the brain. Okay, we have an analytical side and an artistic side. Okay, and things happen depending on artistic or analytical side to side in the thinking memory part of the brain. When you tell a lie, in order to your body, you know how when you want to go somewhere and the computer needs to find it and it buffers. Okay, your body has a buffer tell. All right, when you access the side of your brain that is a memory, because it's a memory and it's a fact, okay, it acts as you. I'm gonna try and do this. I'm gonna look up and to the right, to the left, so it's right. But you look up to the right side of your brain, and you access that fact information in a split second, and then come back down. And anytime you're trying to convey a story of memory, which is fact and known, you have a tendency to look to that side of the brain and up. It's your body's buffer.
Your right
tell
brain.
while it's right.
Yeah.
When you tell a lie, your body naturally, and there is a way to do it. You can work on it, and there's a way to make it go away. I've worked on it, but don't ask why.
You don't say.
But when you want to access a lie, which is a creative and it's something
Artistic.
made up, your body accesses and your mind and your eyes look up and to the left because you're accessing a creative, and you're now using that side of your brain to create and put a story together that's cohesive enough, fast enough to sound believable. So your body has a natural tell. When you lie, you have a tendency to look left.
Yep. And her eyes change when
Depending
about
on
one
depending on
on
how
one
she
subject?
was talking.
or the next. I think the sexual assault stuff is true,
It's all true. I believe
All
it's
true.
all true.
and
I
which
believe
leads me
there's a lot of
to
guttural and eyes. Go, man. I'm sorry.
yeah. She's looking down and to the right. Down, you're looking into your emotions,
You're hiding it.
and you're retreating. You're trying to compartmentalize and retreat. Anybody who's watching or listening, however you're coming across this, research body language. It's one of the most interesting things on the planet, and we all can do it with a little bit of practice. But anyway, when she's talking about the sexual assault, she would completely retreat because she knows it's a guarded subject, and the emotion that at the end of the episode when she's just bawling her eyes out, that's not acting. I don't think it's acting. I think that's raw, real emotion that she's been holding back for how many ever years since she was 12 years old or 8 years old when she was first assaulted.
That's
a
wall of
lifetime.
boxes that she speaks about, and that's
Yep.
that's opening those
Yes.
boxes. And the problem is, she opened up the boxes, and all the shit got dumped on the floor, and now everything in the boxes is on the floor, and she has
Piecing it
to
back
go
together.
She has to go through everything on the floor and place it all in one lengthy file.
And that's the problem with when you compartmentalize like that and throw the walls up. You have to touch that. You have to touch that now, and it becomes real again. And you emotionally react. So for every piece of that puzzle she touches, she's feeling those emotions over again. 15, 16, 20 years later, whatever the case may be. That's
15,
real. That's raw.
14, almost 15.
And when when they did finally talk to the jury, when the foreman said the big picture we saw in that was we didn't believe a word out the fucking father said at all. And that leads me even further down the rabbit hole of my theory.
Yeah, George helped her case. They didn't even realize how they were helping her case.
Yeah, because him being the star witness for the prosecution was a fuck you to her and the family.
Well, not just a star witness.
The first witness.
All right. The first witness.
The first witness.
All right. The very first. All right. Also, doing all of that with being the star witness. All right. While on media outlets, toting how she didn't do it. Casey didn't do anything. We're behind her. We support her. Completely lying in the media outlets. And here's one of the things that did it for me. It's George continuing after they told him that they were going for the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
He literally locked in at that point. Now, my issue and my problem is I will bear witness if my kid fucked up. Yes, I will. However, if you want to put a needle in my kid's arm, you're going to have to do it without me. I won't be a part of that. If my kid killed somebody, I'll sit in court and say, yep, they did. All right? But if you're trying to kill him on it, I'm not going to help with that.
Nope.
George not only did he help with it, he inserted himself into that investigation.
He volunteered
with the police, knowing. Now, this is the other thing with me with George. George was a retired police officer. He knew exactly how to talk to them. He knew exactly. He went in and explained the case to them.
Yeah, he wrapped it up with a bow.
He gave them the June 16th date. He gave them all the information they ran with.
The first witness.
I believe they fucked up because there's a lot, as we learned in 2 and 3, that George is involved in, and nobody ever pinged it. Nobody ever checked where his phone was pinging.
That was a huge fuck up. Huge.
They never actually, for the purpose of the court case, they never actually subpoenaed his phone records either. The police did, but it was never included in the case.
And the couple things when those cops were like prodded by the producers of the documentary.
Yes, and they talked around.
Oh well, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Being a nice guy is not going to. Yeah. I don't want nothing to do with this because you're going down a different path. Burns, you've been sitting there for a while. What you got?
He's Googling.
No, actually, I'm looking through more of these crackpot females that are not believing her story in the least and whatever. But I'm gonna double back to what you guys were talking about with George. Again, like you said, he basically fed them all this information about that day on the 16th of June, but he can't remember what his wife was wearing. He's going to give them information that could potentially fry his kid, and he can't remember.
What? Right. Why do you want your child dead? Like, that was his goal.
And I got an answer.
So do I.
I do too.
I got the answer.
I do too. But,
and I'm not going to beat you to the punch. What I'm going to say is, you guys were spot on with that assessment. Is he is remembering or giving them far too much information that he either shouldn't have or shouldn't be giving up without a lawyer present, and basically setting Casey up for the ultimate fall. And why would he do that? I'm going to let Lynch talk about that because I think we're on the same main. Amber says he had the mentality, you fuck me, I'll fuck you harder. She's right.
Absolutely.
She's right. Because as somebody said earlier, I don't remember who it was, whether it was in the comments or one of us, said that they truly believe that Casey was about to out him for the shit he did to her. Now, it's still up in the air, and Casey does believe it, that he was diddling Kaylee, but there's no proof, okay? So there's more to this, and Lynch is going to walk this puppy through.
All right. So
it was Amber. Okay, she identified it.
So, like I said before the show, Megan kind of walked in part 2, but she got hooked. And she threw this right out there, right during towards the end of episode 2 and into 3. George either murdered her or was abusing her. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm buying that theory, and I'm going to walk it down even further. he was diddling with the granddaughter behind Casey's back. Never home alone, quote unquote, but he had full access to the house, okay, and full access to the granddaughter. I think he was diddling her. Casey found out. I think he picked her up and took her out in the backyard and was trying to do something with her because Casey was half asleep and he could get away with it. And he either hurt her to the point where he killed her or caused damage to kill her, and then threw her in the pool to make it Casey's fault because she fell asleep. She was going to out him. Yes, out him completely. That it was a complete circle. He was diddling her when she was a kid, and then she grew up and became a mature woman, and it wasn't attractive anymore. I got a 2-year-old here I can diddle with who's not going to say a word.
Well, we heard memories of times that he had come into her room and he had used a pillow to smother her while he was doing to keep her quiet.
Yeah, if she said no, please don't. Yeah, why not shut her up?
Right. So here's my issue is I think we have George doing something with Kaylee and a pillow and something goes wrong.
Right, and that's my theory as well.
And here's my theory and then puts her in the pool. And here's my reason as to why. 2 reasons. First of all, if she goes into the pool is water and the pool is chlorine. And those 2 specific ingredients will degrade any crime scene in
Minutes.
an extremely short amount of time.
In minutes.
Especially the bleach, the chlorine, the bleach. Bleach will completely wreck a crime scene and make it unable to be tested. So, pool water is extremely mild bleach. Second of all, my issue is with the way that Kaylee's body was found.
That's the other part for me.
Kaylee's body was found floating on her back. Okay. Now.
Wait. Found when? That day on the 16th?
Well, that's right. She was floating. She was on her back when she was in the pool.
That was his story. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Got you. Yep.
Okay. So here's my problem with that. You ever seen anybody standing up just pass out?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Your
fall
body's
forward.
really fucking off balance without muscle control. Your body naturally falls forward. If you are standing at attention, you don't fall backwards like they do on you heal thyself, and they fall.
Yeah.
It don't happen that way.
You
Your
fall
body
forward.
is naturally off balance, and you fall forward. If she went into that pool because there was a ladder, she didn't have to climb in and fall in. There was a ladder.
But
all
Casey
right?
kept insisting the ladder wasn't there.
Right.
That she knew the ladder.
Right.
She didn't have access.
Right. There was a ladder. You couldn't just hop in, and the ladder wasn't there that day. But she was found floating. If she went in there and couldn't swim, her body's natural position would be to have been floating with her face in the water, her arms out, and the meat and bone of her legs as weight.
Yep.
With whatever buoyancy.
Yep.
Right? The fact that she was on her back tells me that somebody slid her into the water and laid her in there and let her sink.
Yep. Because
that never registered with the police when the story came out.
Well, because they had already made up their mind.
Part of it also is where they found the remains.
The police just stepped over. Dude, what's his name? Kronk or whatever the fuck his name is. He called 3 fucking times in over 3 days. All right? Called once. He was a meter reader for the Orange County Electric or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Read a meter, saw something. Read a meter, saw something. Read a meter, saw
Yeah,
something.
well, actually, it was off in that wooded area where he would go to take a piss every day, and he just never noticed the bag.
Right.
Or if he did notice, it was just, look, I'm in the woods. There's the bag.
He was very big when he did it about that it was bunch of witnesses. He was very much so about the reward money for it, and it made him look really bad. But the police, I know they were inundated and had a lot going on at that point, but I don't think. Actually, Amber, it was 3 pieces of duct tape over her face. But I don't think. Shit, I lost my thought. Fuck.
Go back to your right brain.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy's got a question. Why, if she believed her father was sexually abusing her daughter, would she leave her with her and her parents overnight many, many times? They actually covered that, is that Kaylee was never alone in the house with George specifically alone. Was always with Cindy or with Casey or with the brother. So there was always another set of eyes. Now, what happens in the dark of night happens in the dark of night.
All right, so that brings me to episode 3, when Casey is watching the video of her father and mother being interviewed. He's all in the halo,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry or forgive me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everyone, forgive me and forgive me." And then the mother says,
For the
something
things I've done.
for the things I've done. Then the mother says, "Honey,
You did.
it was an accident." Did you catch that?
Yep.
It was an accident. So that's what sealed the theory for me, was at that moment in episode 3, which was almost at the end, that he was trying to diddle her, and the family knew it. The mother knew it. The father was doing it, and then that's when Casey
Sammy,
found out.
And you would. But we also, I don't know if you've watched it or not, but we also are dealing with repeated sexual abuse over a 5 to 7 year period while she was a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those compartmentalized abilities is to, in order to survive in the rest of the world, there's a lot of denial, and the compartmentalization that was basically what was allowing her to have that life that she was quote unquote living. She was trying to. There was some crazy shit going on in her house, and she was trying to just survive the way she always had.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I don't. Again, George was never alone with her specifically. Just the two of them at the house. But you have to remember that with the abuse, there's a lot. I mean, let's look at the fact that she's in interview rooms, and I have to do what they tell me when she came out with the story the first time. All right. So we know what happened. She was wet. She was dead. George took her away. Who's they that made Casey perpetuate this story about Zanny the nanny and this woman and where and
The mother and father.
That's
mother
the
and
they.
father.
That's what
That's
I'm
they.
saying. That was that stale more. Again, that's that victimology behavior, protecting the abuser, because if the abuser gets outed, then I'm outed. And
Right, and that's something I wanted to bring up.
And that's
is that whether
that's the reason for that unnatural protection.
It's very much.
It was the years of abuse that caused that.
It's very much like battered woman syndrome or
Stockholm.
abused child. Yeah,
Stockholm
syndrome.
when you're young and you are enduring, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, you tend to protect your abuser. You don't want anybody to find out that Daddy Dearest is an asshole. You don't want anybody to find out that Mommy Dearest is an asshole.
And that
So you
family was
like
very much about protecting their story.
you want to talk
Right.
about dysfunction.
Their image.
This is it. This is
Very
it.
bad.
And to complete the point, if you've ever been a part and parcel to any sort of abuse, you do for years and years. And when you finally release it and you finally say it out loud, it's like taking a bag of rocks off of your shoulders and you feel so much better, so good. And part of this, and she says it in one of these episodes, I was protecting my abuser. And it's very much a symptom of abuse. and it's hard to, we can all sit here for weeks and weeks and weeks and microanalyze this all we want. We're not trying to solve the case. We know we can't solve the case. We have our opinions. You guys have yours. Thank you for all the comments that you guys have sent, because we're not done yet, but you guys are really killing it tonight, with no pun intended, with these comments. And yeah, what?
Dahmer's here?
Duct tape, please.
Michael Ross, part of you too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and going back to that whole nice guy image that George projected, everybody thought Ted Bundy was a nice guy too until he got caught.
That's exactly what I said last night.
Gacy was throwing fucking block parties and working with the local Rotary Club and all that shit. And guess what? He had 33 fucking bodies buried under his house. Yeah. So don't give me the nice guy bullshit. Not to say that you guys are or you, the listener, are, but when I see these people say, "Oh, George is such a nice guy," fuck that. They all know how to hide it.
They spend a lifetime doing it. They're narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so now the two roommates. Flash forward to the third episode. Where
Dink really number one and Dink number two.
And again, Sammy, yes, again, not risking her daughter to protect herself. All right, we're not
to protect her father.
You're not, well, we're not. Again, you are trying to analyze it and think through it and react how you think you would with under a completely different mental condition.
And we've all been guilty of it. I'm gonna Herm, if you don't mind me stopping you.
I don't know, Sammy, if you were a survivor or not. I'm not. We're
not trying to out you.
Anything.
I'm not trying to trivialize it either.
However, I do know that years of repeated sexual abuse from a parent will completely fuck up how you think, and you don't think straight because there's a lot of shit going on that you kind of aren't able to deal with.
Right.
You aren't really the greatest of parents because you haven't progressed yet. So I'm not saying she was a bad parent, but she had a lot of baggage. And we've all got baggage, and whatever that baggage is affects how we do a lot of things.
And
that baggage makes us overprotective. Sometimes it makes us less protective. Sometimes it clouds our thoughts and makes us less effective than we would under normal operating conditions.
And the one thing I'd like to add to this is I know we all do it at one point or another, whether it's about this particular case or anything we talk about in the news. When it comes to children, is that first line, everything you say after that has to be discounted. And the line is, if that were my kid. Horseshit. You know why? Because we're all wired differently. What I would do for my kid, is different from what Herm would do for his kid. But in our hearts, it's all the same. But now we're talking about, as Herm said, someone who has got so much psychological damage that right is wrong, up is down, and she doesn't know whether to shit or whine or watch.
Yeah, and just going through life is everyday is a completely different kind of everyday survival.
Every day is different. How you react to your day. I mean, it's because you're so emotional all the time. And that, like I was going to bring up the third episode where the two.
Oh, we finally got our first bot. Look at this. My private photo is on this. We are popular enough to have bots come in and try to get you to look at their private photos on this site. Do not click that link.
It's spam.
Oh, no. I'm going to put the user in timeout.
Yeah. There you go, XXX20 site. Fuck you. Nobody wants to see your private photo shoot.
That we have bots.
Isn't that great?
All right. Write that shit down.
Isn't that great? On December 5th, 2022, we finally had our first bot.
We had our first bot.
We're bot worthy.
Oh my God. But yeah, look, and
baby
again,
steps, gentlemen, baby steps.
The reason I brought up the if that were my kid is because it's not your kid. And as much as our heart pours out for Kaylee Anthony, back then, especially, my daughter is not even a year old when this happens. I am working nights, staying with her during the day, and I'm watching all this shit unfold every fucking day. It's like, here's your SpongeBob, take your nap. I'm going to get my Casey fill. And I watch this all the fucking time. And while I'm doing that, all I could think of is my kid in the other room. 9, 10 months old, what have you. learning how to walk, tootling around. I'm like, oh, I can't imagine if that happened to Emma. I can't imagine doing something like that to Emma. And furthermore, I thank God that I never said the words "if that were my kid." And all of this super analyzing. Yes, we're doing it for kind of entertainment purposes, but also to get you guys thinking too. I don't care if you're religious or not. I'm going to say it this way: there are 4 people that know what happened that day: George, Casey, Kaylee, and God. Now, 2 of them can speak. One of them has. The other one is not speaking on it anymore. One of them is dead, and one of them's God, who doesn't speak except through
That nigga
signs
don't
and.
answer any of his phone calls.
I know, right? I tried to call him 3 times this week. I go to his house every Sunday. He's never there.
Some bitch owes me $3.
No, that's the Nigerian prince. Knock it off.
Yeah.
But, again, right now, and I say this, do I think she's implicit in her involvement? Yes. Do I think she killed her daughter? I'm leaning toward no after all these years, because she's put it all out on Front Street. And again, Amber said it. Amber said it earlier in the thread. I got to find it. Some women. Oh God, I got to find it.
Better than men, or
yes.
whatever it was.
Yes, and that's why I always hate believe all women and all that bullshit. No, you don't believe all women. You believe women, but not all of them, because we all know one lying bitch that would like to nothing more than to ruin someone's life. So beyond that, we got again. Is she implicit? Yes. Do I think she killed the daughter?
Oh, yeah,
no.
Well,
do I think George knows more than he's letting on? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do I think the not guilty verdict was just? Yes. On top of all of this, we as a society, and I'm painting with a real broad brush. I'm not speaking of these 2 guys with me. I'm not speaking of any of you on here are these people. But just because you think it doesn't make it so, especially when you get comments over these threads that say, I happen to know she did it. I am guaranteeing she did it. Really? So what empirical evidence do you have, Barnaby Jones, to tell me this happened? What's going on, Barney Miller? Tell me. Let's Sipowicz the situation. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, come on, Quincy, put your 2 cents in.
Ooh, Quincy, nice. Let's get to these 2 comments, Herm, real quick.
Sammy, in episode 2, that's pretty much how we open it up. We know exactly how, what her story is that day. She said, she woke up, normal day. They took a nap. She woke up from the nap. Her father woke her up from the nap. The baby was gone. They looked for the baby all over the house. She went inside looking for the baby again to check some spots. She came outside, and George was holding the baby. He told her that this was her fault, and extremely sternly and nastily. Mm-hmm. And then she says he softened his tone because she was holding him. He came over and took the baby back from Kaylee and said, I'll take care of this. And that's all Kaylee knows. She never saw the baby's body again.
Right. Before all 3 of us give our take on what we believe, not that anything we can prove. Again, none of us are investigating this case. Amber has 2 really good comments, and Sammy has a question, but I'm not quite sure. Sammy, clarify your question, please. Amber says, does anybody think to look at the uncle, Casey's little brother?
Yeah, he was looked at.
I don't believe he was there that day. I know there's rumor that he might have had done some diddling of Casey, but beyond that, I don't think.
And even she says it was mild compared to the father.
Right.
The brother was looked at, and everybody and family members were looked at. But,
he was exonerated right quick.
Was looked at, but he wasn't there that day. He was not even involved. He lives in another state. It was a completely there was no way he was involved.
Okay, Amber's second comment. I understand exactly where you're coming from, Sammy. But until in that situation, you have no idea how you would react. Good point. None of us really do until you're standing there looking death in the face. Right. We like to think we do, but until faced with that situation, I was watching again. I'm a sucker for this. I don't know why. I tortured myself with it. I watched the Station Nightclub documentary the other night. Again.
Cue the white snake.
You'd think I want to stop. It was Great White. Thank you very much. And
Close enough.
one thing my grandfather always taught me: when you go to a place, look for the exits, make a plan, know how to
Always
get out.
out.
But as they explain in this documentary, that fire took 90 seconds to completely engulf the walls and the ceiling, and not everybody could get out. It's like the Mike Tyson quote: "Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face." Well, everybody's got a plan until the fire actually happens,
Right.
or you find the dead body in the pool, or you're standing in the face of a mugger who's got a gun 2 inches from your forehead saying your money or your life. We can all sit here and pound our chest and throw our dick on the table and go, anybody tried to rob me, I'll kick their ass. Well, when the gun is to your head, how much ass are you actually kicking?
Yeah, it's
Well,
Come on now.
story.
You got to also remember, people in that situation, like it was an accident. Let's say it was an accident. People panic. They do really stupid things because they're not thinking. You're thinking with your emotions, and your intellect is out the fucking window. So you're gonna do stupid shit
Right. It's
in that
coupled-
moment, and then you're
It's coupled with grief.
and
You
then by
gotta,
the
you, gotta,
time
you gotta request term.
Heard.
Uh-oh.
Puff, pass.
Puff, puff, pass.
sock drawer, puff past the sock drawer.
I don't want
Okay.
to talk about the sock drawer. He owes me sock money.
I'll just take a washcloth.
Yeah, there you go.
The washcloth's worth.
Not me. I'm going on vacation. I want a contest, damn it. Where's my plane, Pepsi?
Yeah, where's my jet, bitch?
That's right. Suck
Yeah,
it.
I don't think she was complicit either. I think she had an active role in what happened, but I think it was after the fact.
Mhm.
I don't think she touched her. Like I said, her emotions about her were very stilted in the beginning. That could have been the way they edited it as well.
True.
Because to me, the main target of that entire three episode series
Was George.
was George. He was the main character in this.
George.
Yeah.
And that's why the sexual molestation comes into key play here in her retelling of the events that happened.
Well,
I
because
believe it's again. I
trauma
personally
changes
believe.
your behavior.
I'm going back to the roommates that used to be roommates with her that were convinced she did it, and once that the producer
Dude,
explained to them,
And they dropped those fucking bombshells on him, and the one
When
guy
the producer-
was like, "Hold on, he had to fucking walk away." He's like,
Yeah.
I gotta fucking collect myself."
Yeah.
the producer
Give
said
me-
that people who are victims of sexual abuse will compartmentalize and become good compulsive liars
Mhm.
because they always have to change their story to make it believable that they're not being hurt.
How
or
many
that daddy's
doorknobs
not
can you
diddling
walk
them.
into? You know what I mean?
Right. And they become this person that you don't expect. On the outside, they look great. On the inside, they're tortured.
It's
And when
it's
the
unfathomable
producer
what
said that to
a human
those
being
two,
can start to consider normal.
yeah. And when those two guys were told that, the fucking life just got sucked out of their face, and that's when I got chills. Because you're talking to people who for 15 years had their mind made up,
Mm-hmm.
and then for that one 25-second explanation, their entire life changed.
Yeah.
Right
And-
there on camera.
To kind of put that into a ball. It's like we all have our thoughts about O.J. Simpson. All of us. Found not guilty. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. There are people to this day who will swear he didn't do it, and there are people to this day who swears he did it. Again, only 4 people know what happened on Brentwood Avenue. O.J. Simpson, Nicole, Ron Goldman, and God. And 3 of them can't talk. So again, spare me with what you think you know. Spare me with what you say and I'm not picking on Sammy, but she makes this great comment, and I applaud her heart. I really do. What I would do, and I have, sure, everyone does things different, but I can certainly say I know exactly what I would do in that situation. I'm calling a foul. The yellow flag is on the field, unnecessary, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down, because until you stand in that situation You don't know. You think you know. You may feel in your heart, and 99% of you is going to say, I would do this. But when it happens, that 1% comes out and you're a hysterical wreck, or you're like Herm said, you're visibly shaken. Your mind is going in 18 different directions. What do I do? How do I do? What do I do? And then I'm going to get to Amber's comment. None of us. I'm getting on a excuse me, I'm going to die.
Please don't
Please
die.
don't.
Thank you.
The-
I'm getting on
the
I'm getting on a
Romans-
plane. Hold on, let me finish my point, please. I'm getting on a plane in 2 days. That plane could crash. Well, yeah, I would push the thing and go out the window and slide down the rubber mat, and I would live, and I'd put my head between my knees and kiss my ass goodbye. I can say all of that. But until that plane is nose down, heading at 600 miles an hour, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't.
Because what you think you're going to do right now today can change in 5 seconds, because it's all unwritten. You don't know. You're going to be in that moment. You're going to act in emotion. You're not going to be intellectual at that point. When you're acting out like that, it's all fear and emotion.
Sure. That's why when a mother and their children, the story from years ago that we've all heard a million times, the kids are pinned into a car, the car is against a tree, and that mother gets that, I can't use the term we used to use, but we'll call it that internal mother Hulk.
Yeah.
And she pushes that car off the tree, bends the door open, and saves her kid. Yes. Hulk strength. We used to have a different word for it back in the day, but I don't want to get canceled. It starts with an R.
Sounds
and
like it sounds like Batard.
Yes, it does sound like Batard.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Batard strength.
Retard. I got it.
Hey!
Oh, hey.
Herm is canceled. Amber's
Sorry,
comment.
it's white privilege. It's just what we learned.
I can smell it. I can smell it from here.
White privilege
It's just
by
what we
Calvin
learned.
Klein.
That's what he's smoking. White privilege. That's a strain.
We're knocking down social norms. Amber says, what about Cindy and her role? We seem to hear all about George and Casey, but not much about Cindy. My theory on Cindy is she's after the fact. Once all this starts to bubble and she goes nuts, and my granddaughter's been
Well, she
missing
didn't
31
know. I
days.
don't
Well,
think
no,
she knew. That was the whole reason she fucking called and flipped out.
wait for it. Exactly.
Then
My
she
granddaughter's been missing 31 days on, and then the cops come and all of this. And
And then George
Casey,
was like, yo, bitch, shut the fuck up.
when Casey's ass is hauled off to jail and they have a quiet moment alone, he sits old Cindy down and says, listen, you got to work with me here. This
had
is
an
what happened.
accident.
There was an accident.
Yeah.
Because you notice she's frantic in those phone calls. The first couple days of the news coverage, she is Tears Jones and she is crying the blues. And then by week 3, she was calm as a cucumber, man.
Well, and that's why I think they both told
Dude,
Casey to
the-
lie. Just
the
they
A&E
told her
interview.
live your life. They
The
told her to
A&E
go live your life.
interview.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that where they were picking at each
And they were
other.
fucking fighting on fucking film.
Who?
On
Mhm.
TV.
Who was the
And
guy?
they're telling each other to shut the fuck up the whole time.
Yeah, he's like, shut the fuck up, Cindy.
Who-
Shut the fuck up. I'm like,
Who was the
Jesus.
guy that said?
They let that
who-
go on A&E?
Who was the guy that said? I don't know what was going on, but there's something fucked up with that family.
Oh, that was the investigator.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
guy
he-
in the green Hawaiian shirt who looked like
He was
Mr.
awesome.
Drummond.
Yes.
was
Oh, God,
awesome.
Mr. Drummond.
He looked like Mr. Drummond. That's all I could think. I was like, yo, Mr. Drummond got some fly threads on. Mr. Drummond, a fucking private investigator. He
Wow,
bomb
Mrs.
it.
Garrett ironed that shirt nice.
But yeah,
No, he was
the guy
great.
that looked like Mr. Drummond was like, he went in and talked to this, and he come back, and he's like, I don't know what's going on, but that family's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think the mother and father told her to continue to live your life. We've got this.
Oh,
And
that
then
was
they panicked.
that was the boat. That was he went to go
Buy-
talk to them, and they
fucking
were worried about
$100,000 boat.
Geraldo and the Today Show, and then another time they were late because they were the foundation. Within a week after the thing, they'd set up money for a foundation, and there was there was some severe overcompensation.
I'm just surprised insurance money didn't play into this at all.
Right.
I would have thought if George was going to go through with this, see, him being the prosecution star witness. And here's my theory on that: if she's in jail and gets put to death, she can be stifled, and her side of the story is never going to come out. They're going to put her in the chair or however the fuck they kill people there. and she's going to go away. I can finish my life not being outed as a fucking diddler of both my child and grandchild. He did the act. He convinced her to go along with it. Then he threw her squarely under that big fucking bus.
And the one thing to me that still sticks out, and we already touched on it, is the Halo interview where he's, I got to apologize for the things I've done. And, again, the Cindy comment, oh, it was an accident, George, it was an accident. And then they switch right away to Casey, and her eyes are bugging out of her head. And she goes, wait, what did he just say?
That's what I was just
Bring
gonna
that
say.
back.
Did you
Bring
see
that back.
That live reaction, and she was like, wait, what the back that up.
Wait a second.
Whoa. Did he just back that up? Because
We're going to
she
need that
asked the
graphic
question.
sometime, Herm, whenever we have a whoa moment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like, "Wait, how did I?" She asked the question. What do you have to be forgiven for? The mother says.
Yeah, and it was an accident. Come on, that gave me chills too. Like, holy shit! I kind of my empathy level and sympathy level for Casey Anthony went from negative to about a quarter bucket, because I was feeling for that bitch at that moment. Holy shit! Because if what happened is if I believe what happened is actually what happened, that's just horrible. It's horrendous.
There are certainly things that in that 3-part documentary I listened to her say, and I'm like, all right, you're still completely full of shit. And then there are other times where she's speaking and you can hear through her body language, the inflection of her voice, sometimes the voice would crack, and you're like you said earlier, either
like her voice quality would change, like it got hard to say things.
Either she is the greatest actress on earth, or she's being 1,000% genuine. My whole thing is, and like you just said, I've always been on the line. You got not guilty, you're not guilty. The court works that way for a reason, and for those people that say, well, she did it. What if that were your sister? Come on now. We all have to play this game once in a while. What if it were my family? Now, right. Do I have as much empathy and sympathy for her as you do? No. Because again, a lot of the coverage that I sat through living in Florida at the time, it still resonates with me. And it kind of sits there in that little corner until a documentary like this comes up, and then doop, it's right out in front, and you can't forget it.
I'm waiting for the 10th anniversary documentary on Sandy Hook to come down the pike, because it's going to, because that's coming up.
And I pray to God that
we live that.
Yep. And I pray to God if they make that documentary, that they put the Alex Jones thing in there just to piss everybody off, and not to be pissed off, but to be pissed off at him. Granted, you can say things that are subversive. That's kind of like what this podcast thing is that everybody does. But to insult a group of people that lost their children, and Herm and I went to high school with a teacher that used to work in that school, and we got on Facebook, hey, I'm okay. I'm not going to talk about it. Please don't ask me about it. Yada, yada. Right. To this day, she won't talk about it.
I completely understand. And I met a gentleman when I worked at the casino who was one of the first responders, Connecticut State Police responders to the scene. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I think about it, and the hair raises on my entire body.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a scene I've never, ever seen before, and I don't ever want to see again.
No, absolutely. But yeah, to sum up my estimation, I have more questions now than I did before, but I think they go in the other direction. Whereas before I wanted to know, what does Casey know? What did Casey do? Is Casey the killer? Yada, yada, yada. Now,
those were all answered. Like, those questions were all answered. There's
right,
so
but now
questions the questions all revolve around George.
90% of them do, yes.
90%
of them do.
Of
George and the mother.
I want to know are questions I need to know and have answered about George.
Yep,
There's some phone records with pings, and we'll never have it. But those are the questions.
Yep. My only question right now left on Casey's end, and I think it's a question we've all asked at one point or another, and we've seen it in the chat. And as people listen to this and leave comments and questions and reviews somewhere, please start leaving comments and questions and reviews somewhere. 5 stars would be great, but we'll take 4. We're not greedy.
Sorry.
What, are we taking a break?
No, try to hit a mute
Shut up.
button, but I hit the wrong button.
Gotcha. The question I have is the question we've all had since this started. And mostly it's female people asking it, but I think us 3 have asked it privately and publicly. Girl, why didn't you just suck it up and call 911? Why didn't you just do the right thing at the right time?
And I understand when if factoring in the sexual abuse, I understand it. But my other question to that is, all right, I'll let that slide and I'll let that go because of the abuse she had.
Mm-hmm.
But what was George's necessary reason for having her invent the whole story? If it was just an accident, it was just an accident. All right. If she came out, got in, that's the problem. The problem is if it wasn't the only reason to not do that is if it wasn't just an accident or the conditions under which the accident happened. Which again leads me to believe that George had something going on with Kaylee.
Yeah, and that's he smothered her or put his hand over her face to quiet her down. Something went wrong.
Made that
and if they go to the police right away, call 911, he's fucked. He's doubly fucked. He wins 2 prizes in one phone call because
he's a double winner.
Yeah, he's a double loser. So that's why he in my mind, that's why he would tell Kaylee, make up this story. And you're going to do what I tell you until I tell you to do the next thing.
Okay.
Because don't forget he's an ex-cop.
Right.
And what do dirty cops do? They can convince somebody that they did something or were somewhere without them even knowing it. They have a way to speak to somebody that convince them the lie that they're telling is the truth. And I see that a lot when I watch these crooked crime interviews with suspects. The leading questions, they make up a timeline and insert the suspect in the timeline only because it's convenient, not because it's the truth.
Right. I'm waiting for Sammy. She asked a question earlier. Didn't mean to skip over you. We got on a roll. I'm going to need you to clarify that question. She says, which part, the death or the kids being around George? I need a little more clarification, and then I'm sure we'll all love to answer the question. Because I didn't see that one come in. I do apologize. You know us. When we get on a roll. There's no stopping us. Herm, your takeaway. What is the bottom line here?
Well, my takeaway is with this case, unfortunately, the justice system only has 2 options. Oh, she's talking about you calling her out, saying that she says she knows what she would do, and you say technically until the situation happens, you don't know what you would do.
All right, I'm going to go 50-50 on that one. I'm going to say, I still believe this, until you're faced with the thing in front of you, we don't know what we're going to do. I believe that in your heart, and I said it then, in your heart and in your mind, you honestly believe that is what you'll do. I can't say yay or nay to that. But I said 99% is good. It's that 1%.
I can completely support your conviction to that. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 1,000%. 1,000.
And I would hope in the same way, I would hope in certain situations, I would act a specific way. I think I am, if I'm judging my character, and basically that's what we're doing in that situation. We're judging our own character and saying how we think we would act based on who we think we are. And it's good that you said and that your conviction is that strong. But I think we should also agree that until we're exactly in that position, we don't truly know what our reaction would be.
Right.
We got that 97% thing going on, but 3% is all it took to blow up the space shuttle. So there it is.
You can't play your hand if you don't have all your cards.
Mm-hmm.
And you're waiting for that up card.
And you look at, like some of these major crimes that we've seen over the years, just going back to a couple of weeks ago when we watched the Dahmer documentary, he was doing this for a long damn time, and it was that one slip up that got him caught.
Right.
So
Just because
again,
they
he didn't
become
know what to
confident.
do in that. He didn't know what to do in that situation. Got it all under control until that one thing happens.
Yep.
Well, and that's a parallel to what I believe happened with George here. He'd been doing it for quite a while. Maybe it came out after the young child expired, and he admitted to his daughter that he was diddling the granddaughter. You don't know. These are all things where you can just speculate all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, there's only 4 people that know.
Yep.
And one of which is not talking. He doesn't want anything to do with anything further on this. He, as far as he's concerned, it's over. Now, I think he's stupid, because if he really feels that strong that the allegations she's making are false, why not use this as a platform to tell your story?
And at the back end of every episode, you saw that crawler that said George Anthony refused to be interviewed for this project.
Yep.
George continues to maintain his innocence. Blah 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 fucking blah. It's the same shit we hear on every documentary. Where again, and this is one thing that came to my mind while watching this. The truth speaks louder than silence, and his silence speaks louder than words.
Right.
So if Casey is not guilty of homicide, which I think we're all on the same page, we believe that is not the case, that Casey did not kill that child.
The evidence?
Given the qualities required for murder, first degree, as they tried to get her for,
Mm-hmm.
no.
The evidence, they made their decision based upon the evidence provided to them. And the evidence provided to them, from what I understand to be true through this documentary, was a lot of speculation, unproven science experiments,
Mm-hmm.
and not enough you had no motive, you had no DNA, you had no weapon.
Nothing.
You didn't know the motor method of death. You don't know at what point post-mortem that she was wrapped up, allegedly duct taped by the mouth. I don't think that she was. I think that's the tape on the outside of the bag slid down as she decomposed, because that bag was open when they found it.
Yep.
You could see they blurred it out, but you could see the flare of the bag and the shiny white of her bones. And the duct tape was here, about on the bone. I think that's what happened. And Megan actually agrees with me as well.
Agreed.
There's again, we could do weeks upon weeks of stuff like this.
Right. The thing that strikes me, and I got to give, as much as I don't want to, because again, I still have questions. I got to give Casey I got to give Casey a lot of credit. I don't care if she was paid $1 million for this or $55 in a package of ramen. You got out there and you had your voice heard finally. And if George is not guilty, if George is so innocent, if George is so free and clear of guilt, George should be the second one to stand up and answer these allegations. Your silence speaks louder than words.
Like I said, he had a platform, and he chose not to utilize it.
He had no problem spewing his guts for the last 10 years on every Dr. Phil, Geraldo Rivera, Dr. Oz there is. Why not now? Why not now?
Right.
Yeah,
Fucking cocksucker.
I agree with that assessment. Not that he's a cocksucker, but
no, he is a cocksucker.
I've never witnessed him do that.
Oh, it's all speculation.
Nor would I want to.
It's all speculation. And speculation and 50 cents will get you a cup of coffee. It will not be hot, but you will get a cup of
But
coffee.
it'll be a cup of coffee.
It'll probably have some backwash in it, or dips in it,
Ew.
or a couple cigarette cherries.
Oh,
That's the best coffee. That's the best coffee. Waste you right the fuck up.
All
you
right,
sick
gentlemen.
son of a bitch. All right, programming note, ladies and gentlemen. No show next Monday. I will be flying back to the land of snow and bullshit. If hopefully we won't have any snow. You guys are going to have some good weather this week, but mine will be better. Where the fuck are you getting a 50-cent cup of coffee? Don't worry about that shit,
AA
Amber.
meetings.
I can attest to that. They're either
There you
a quarter
go.
or 50 cents.
No show next week. I'll be flying back. We will be back in 2 weeks. We'll come up with something fun because the last couple of weeks we have been kind of dark and miserable and gloomy. Don't forget, if you have show ideas, junctiondysfunctionshow@gmail.com. You can use the Facebook page. You can use the Twitter. You can use any avenue you want. But whatever you do, start leaving reviews wherever you steal this show from. And if you liked this show, share it with a friend. Amber says, can y'all do a NASCAR one? No, because we do the NASCAR show on Wednesday, the Speedway review.
That's called we don't step on shows.
That's right.
don't
We're
step on
not.
And even though he is the other show, I don't.
He's
as a
the big
producer,
toe.
I don't step on shows.
He's the big
So-
toe of speed NASCAR.
That's right. Thank you very much. I forgot what I was going to say here. Oh, if you like it, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel. It will tell you when we have videos up. And moving forward, we want to hear from you. We want to read your quotes on the air.
And we can,
So, Jen-
we can throw them right up.
She said she's never seen that one. Does she not watch Speedway Review?
I'm guessing not. We're going to have to, when
Well,
I
you're
come
gonna
back from next
You're gonna have to
Wednesday,
come in
we're
here,
back.
You're gonna have to come back. Well, you can go back into this feed on this and answer her. I never seen that one. It'll be a comment. You can just.
I
send
just
a link.
saw it. I just saw it. Amber, how do you know? How have you not seen the Speedway review?
That's what I'm saying. So you can jump in and comment and send her a link how to get the Speedway Review.
I certainly
And
will.
now
I'm
you
saying.
can watch 2 shows.
Monday and Wednesday are going to be fun for you, Amber.
All right. All right, so that's it, right? I will have the show up tomorrow for the audio version on everywhere that everybody steals their audio podcasts. Oh, nice. Nice. You got a notification we were live. Excellent.
Now you know where to be Mondays at
Excellent.
6 p.m.
You know where to be on Monday, and we'll make sure that Chris lets you know where to be on Wednesday.
That's right.
Other than that,
Coming at you live.
we're going to close it out. So this is Big Herm. This is Lynch. And we got Senor Burns over here. And I'm gonna
Kanye
say
Twitty.
we'll see all of you.
And I hate
If I
Hitler.
can open up my phone, because this shit is. We'll see you all next week.
No, we won't. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. But me and Lynch will probably do some live shit. So you're going to see somebody.
You'll see
I'll,
something.
I'll watch you from the plane. Oh, wow!
Be quiet. Be quiet. Be very,
It's the ASMR.
be very quiet. I can't help myself.
You guys are too fucking.